Good morning, good morning, good morning. I know we're a little bit early, so I just figured we'd hang out for a few minutes before we start. Hey, Silvana. Our tech superstar is on the call. Can you believe all this woman got done this week so far? It's only Tuesday. I keep saying this week so far, it's Tuesday, and we've got like all of this new links, hyperlinks in the reports. I don't know. I saw the whole list in the Facebook group. What all did you do this week, Silvana, so far for improvements?
Custom fonts are now possible to upload. Yeah. And on Friday, we will present our solution for the migration. I hope.
So excited, so excited. Yeah, but I mean, the stuff that you guys have gotten done in the last few days is just I find it mind-boggling. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Thank you.
Amazing, amazing, amazing. So we will just hang out for a few minutes until 10 my time, just to make sure that everybody, oh, look at this. We all get to join on the same link again. We're going to be multiple people at the same thing. So how's everybody's report going? People who are here now. I would love to hear how your report's going. Angela, I love your photo. That's a really cool photo. Headshot. Hi, Lori. Amy looks like she's busy typing, so I don't know if she's typing in the chat or she's actually working on one of these mad reports that she has on the go. The last thing I need is more coffee, and the biggest thing that I need is more coffee right now. So, yeah, mine's a mushroom coffee, so I don't know if that still counts as coffee, but it's I need it this morning. Okay, so sorry. Hey, Lori.
I was just going to ask a question, so how are people creating reports that are different than a generic report? I'm curious.
Who wants to start? I can answer what I did, but I'll see if other people want to start too.
Oh,
Sure, Amy, go for it.
Do you just mean like technically, like how do you start, or are you just asking for
Well, I
instructions?
do have to figure out how to start. I missed last Tuesd's class, so I have to catch that, and I've been kind of focused on trying to figure out how to get the website going. So I've kind of diverted my energy there, but I was curious what people are doing more than just a generic chart and how they're, oh shoot, did you lose me?
No. Oh, you gotcha.
So Vicki, last Tuesday is when I went through my thing, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
So
Okay.
I actually went through and scrolled through my thing, but if I were you and starting now and didn't watch but wanted to do something, I would start a new report, load a template, change all my colors, like change the colors from the template to whatever you want to use, and then just start. Then all the colors are in your document. You can reuse them. And then tweak as you want from there.
I'll give you another suggestion.
I'll have to watch the replay because I missed all of that. So I'll just watch the replay to hear what you said. Something's going on with my connection.
Oh, Amy's report is super pretty too. Robust and pretty too. Okay, so first, before we get really going in it, I should have, as we were starting, I have to do the housekeeping thing. Remember that if you are here with us and your face is here with us, that it will be on the replay, which is on YouTube and in the groups and all of that stuff. So if you don't want your face on, please just have your name on there. We would love to see your beautiful faces though, especially those of us who are generator types. I need some eyeballs to look at in this room together. And as we get going, we are going to go back to Lori's content question, because a lot of people in the group, it seemed to be that people wanted help organizing content mostly and marketing. So Thursday's call is all about marketing your report, but we're going to talk about it a little bit here. We can basically go anywhere we want, because here's my notes for today to get us started. So it's a blank slate. Oh, shoot. And now my phone is ringing. I'm sorry. Oh my God, that drives me crazy. Okay. So what I would love for us to do very first thing though is celebrate. So I would love whether you want to unmute and super quickly, like a minute or less, tell us something that you'd love to celebrate that you've done this week. It doesn't have to be business related. Or you can comment it in the chat and I will read the chat out. Because I think it's really, really important that we, instead of just always focusing on what's next, that we take a pause, take a beat, and celebrate what we've gotten done so far. So, one thing that you've gotten done this week, or one thing that you can celebrate in your life this week. Got started. Oh, sorry. Hey, go ahead, Lori. Sorry.
Who's going? Me. Okay, I'm gonna go because I'm the only one that's not muted.
Yes.
I'm feeling quite chuffed, to be honest. I've managed to do, like, I played around a little bit with the website bit because I've got 2 websites that are going to talk to each other. I've managed to do the PDF version. I've done 2 of the lead magnets in my name, and I've done a foundational basic report. So I'm super excited about those. I think the next thing for me to understand is, like, how do we automate that and all the linking together with the websites. But I'm feeling quite chuffed about that.
Amazing. That's amazing. Yes. Did you say chucked? Quite chuffed about that?
Chuffed.
Okay.
Maybe is that South African or English? I just, because that's the thing, chuffed. I've been living in the UK and South Africa, so chuffed. I think it's very South African, maybe, because everybody's looking at me very dumbfounded.
I love it. I love it. It's not Canadian.
I think it's English too.
It
English?
is English,
Okay.
chuffed. I'm feeling very
think
chuffed
so.
with myself.
Okay. I'm going to remember that. Thank you and congrats. That's amazing, amazing, amazing. Anybody else? Who else wants to unmute and share? And then I'll read through the chat at the
Well,
end.
I'm gonna share super quickly. I had a meeting with my graphic designer this morning, and I got to see the first draft of my book cover,
Oh my gosh.
and it was so good. Honestly, I cried because it was just so beautiful, and I'm going to bring that graphic into my report covers as well.
Oh, I love it. What's your book about?
It's about human design parenting.
Oh, wow. Beautiful, beautiful, much needed.
Yeah.
Definitely. I need an advance copy of that, please, for my grandkids.
Coming in July.
Okay, I'm on it. Congrats. That's amazing. Anybody else want to unmute? Oh my gosh. We're celebrating. If you're just joining, we are taking a minute to celebrate something that you got done this week or that you can celebrate about yourself or your life before we get started and move on to the next thing.
Okay, so I'm going to give a shout out to, I had to pull it up on my Facebook, Andrea Corbett for asking about putting the transit chart on. I talk about transits on the TikTok every day. And I was so, like, I wished that I could do something with it. And so her post, I learned I could do that. And so I put that on my website. It doesn't look like, it's not on my homepage yet. I was too tired to figure out the stupid template that I use on my website, but it's on there as a page, and I'm elated because now I can send people there. I'm gonna not gatekeep like a thing that I think is awesome. I don't know who else talks about it on social media, but I did things like getmyfreechart.com is my URL, and so I can just say that on the TikTok without having to. I used to use my name. I changed my URL because that never worked well for anybody. And so now I have like shortcut, like easy to say URLs that point to individual pages on my website. And so I have a bunch for transits, and so I'll pick one of those and send it there. But I highly recommend that if you talk about your stuff on social media.
Well, thank you very much. And that feels like something massive to get done in your business. That's amazing. Yeah, amazing. Especially if you talk about it all the time. Okay, anybody else want to celebrate live and in person? And then I am going to take a minute and read the chat because I realized that trying to type it out later was really something else. And then we will get into questions. So Lisa is celebrating your first call that you've been able to attend live, and I am so drawn to your background. I love that. That's like my color. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Started writing and creating my report in Bodygraph, says Marisa. I may not say your names right, I'm sorry. I created new business cards for human design and have received great feedback from the reading I did. Yay, Lori. Starting to put the site together, Sarah. I created a Zap, my first one to link a chart to my email, Claire, yay. I let go of perfectionism, woohoo, and created a simple landing page for prospects to pull their chart, yes. I got 3 of the lead magnets done. Kelly, yes, way to go. And integrated the transit chart with mail funnel, working on my report, knowing what I'm doing and excited to finally be here. Yes, amazing, Kim. So, actually there's a tech question here about, well, to me it's tech. To these girls on the call, Victoria and Savannah, they're like, that's not really tech, but to me it's tech because everything in the computer is tech to me. So there was a question here about font. I'm just going to ask that first before we get started. What kind of font size are you using for the Bodygraph, for the body copy of your report? Somebody's asking, is there a recommendation or is it just personal preference? And I think that Astrid is polling the group, so you can pop in the chat there what font size you're using if you'd like. Not everybody at the same time. I usually go with a little bit bigger than some people go. Like I know what my VA is 34, and when I get my stuff from her, I'm like, I can't see that. So I always err, and my clients are usually middle age and above. So I go a little bit bigger on the font than maybe is what normal, what younger people do. But it just depends on what you like. Somebody is saying is 18 to 22. 15. So I don't know if that helps, but you can keep popping them in there if you'd like. I don't think there is a like a standard that we have to have, right, Victoria and Savannah? It's just like personal preference, I think. Yeah. Okay. Oh, Victoria.
Oh, sorry, just one sec. Yeah, it's absolutely personal preference. I've seen it all. I've seen it very small and tiny letters. I've seen it large. It's totally up to you. What do you want to do? Yeah.
Yeah, and so it's from font to font different.
You're right.
You can't say use this and yeah, and of course if the font is big, you have more pages at the end. That's it.
Yeah. And like I think there's something that needs to be said, and maybe you guys already know this, but there's something to be said for using a really super clear font. Like I know we can do lots of pretty fonts, we can get really crazy with fonts, and maybe the artsy stuff is your thing, but like we have to make it easy for people to read, or else they just like kind of zone out. So you want something that's easy to read for sure. Okay, so where are we going to get started today? Who needs help with organizing the content in the report? Because that came up in the poll in the Facebook group. Well, actually, Lori's question from the beginning. So Lori talked about how do people make reports that are different? How do you basically differentiate yourself within the Bodygraph chart system? And I love this because that's what human design is all about, right? Is differentiating. So we should absolutely I hate that word, but be doing that in our reports. And so Lori, for you, I just saw your face kind of go like, oh boy, when Amy was saying like all of the things to do. And just because I know you a little bit, I'm also like, use your strategy, right? Like you're going to create best by leaning into your human design. So for me anyway, it's really hard to look at a blank page and start. I need something to get me going. So that's where the templates can really come in handy because you can tweak them a little bit. But it doesn't have to be responding to a template. It doesn't have to be starting with a template. It could be starting from, like, I don't know how much content you have in your content bank or content vault, but it could be starting from something you've already written. Like maybe you have something that you've written that's even saying a social media post that you've written that's about an open head center, just for shits and giggles. I don't know if I'm supposed to swear on these calls, sorry. Just for kicks and giggles. You've got a post about an open head center that you like. Well, that could be enough to get you started on writing all of your centers as a manifesting generator. Like you can totally be in response to your own stuff as well. Does that make sense? I know you're driving, so I won't make you touch all of the buttons. Yeah. Okay, so Chris.
I use for deciding on what I'm going to use for content, in addition to everything you offered, Vicky. Thank you, I appreciate that. Lately, I've been waking up with inspirations. I've been feeling drawn to put a specific idea or a specific inspiration down, and it led me to a point where I was inspired to look at the different layers of the offerings that I have. And I envisioned this little map, and I just started putting different pieces together, writing, and each puzzle piece was a specific topic that would guide my clients through the beginning of all my offerings. And I opened it up and encouraged them to choose where they feel drawn to explore. And I just offer that as a freebie download when they receive their chart. And there's an invitation at the bottom explaining there's a lot more to discover, and provided a link to the website as well as a link to a booking option.
I love that. I love the map idea. And this is something that we talked about in my course actually just yesterday. Because we can tend to think of, I'm going to use that term that you don't love, Chris, but the offer ladder. And we can tend to think of it as, okay, so I need to have a $7, $27, $97, $197, $490. That's not what an offer ladder is. What an offer ladder is kind of the way that, well, to me, is kind of the way that Chris is describing it, is like you want your thing is the bridge to take them to the next step in your world. So more than a dollar value, I mean, it can be a dollar value, but it's like, how am I getting them to the next step? How is this helping them get to the next step? And maybe your report is just a lot of information. Maybe not just, but maybe it's a lot of information. It's like, okay, here's what you need to know about your design. But maybe your report, I mean, it could be anything, right? It could be one piece of you can have reports for any area of your business where you want to create a little bridge. These reports make great bridges to the next step with you, in my opinion. And I know I'm not saying, is Marisa, I know I'm not saying that properly, and we've done this before. I'm sorry. I'll try to remember.
Hi, it's Maryse.
Maryse.
So a little still technical content question. I was asking the question this week. I got an answer, but so when I put in content, it can be in my content or it can be in the report page visibility. And the answer I got is that if it's short, for example, if I have a short description, put it in my content, and if it's longer, put it in page visibility. But okay, I'm still curious to understand this distinction between my content and page visibility. Should I just do everything in page visibility if I want to generate a report, or when do we use my content?
That would be ideal if you would use the page visibility, and prefer that way to build a report, simply because that gives you the freedom of like customizing the page and the content itself and format the content, because the shortcodes brings up just the dynamic text, which is not easily formatted. And as I said, if it's too long content, it's going to come out of the page margins. So the shortcodes initially were introduced into reports to create the mini pages or summary pages with the property outcomes and very short, brief descriptions of 1 or 2 sentences. And they were not meant to build the entire deep reports. The main feature is the page visibility. And that is the perfect way to create the report. So obviously shortcodes, for quick summary pages can be used. So I would advise to use the page visibility, and you load your content with beautiful illustrations, amazing backgrounds, bullet points, and all that you want directly onto the pages rather than using shortcodes.
Okay.
Thank you. Okay, before we get any further, I missed a step. Imagine that. Thank you, Amanda, for reminding me. Okay, we're gonna back it up, check it before I wreck it, and now I've missed a step over here on my other monitor. Give me a second. Amanda reminded me we didn't do the affirmations. and she's missing that. So give me a second to sign in here so I can grab my my Google Doc, and we'll take a minute and do our regular affirmations before we get started, because I know that some of you are in the room with us and you're kind of maybe not listening to us, but maybe just tapping in to group energy to create your report. So how we normally start these calls, if this is your first time, we normally start it with some affirmations so that we can kind of tap into our highest self and our gifts. So let's get grounded, take a nice big deep breath, and I'll just read them from my monitor for you. So I say the affirmation, the mantra, if you will, and then give you time in your head to repeat it to yourself or repeat it out loud if you would like to. This is a friendly universe. Everything is happening for my good. I contribute. I am worthy of an abundant life. My creation serves the world. I am right where I need to be in this moment. What I have to share is of value. People need what I have. When I stand in my power, I call the right people to me. At this very moment, someone is praying for the solution that I offer, whatever praying is to you. This is a friendly universe. Everything is happening for my good. I contribute. I am worthy of an abundant life. My creation serves the world. I am right where I need to be in this moment. What I have to share is of value. People need what I have. When I stand in my power, I call the right people to me. And at this very moment, someone is praying for the solution that I offer. There. Brings me back down into my body a little bit. Hopefully it did that for you too. I was listening to Richard Rudd this week as well. This week keeps running into, it's actually last week, but it doesn't matter. And something that he said a few times just kept coming back to me. Oh my God, my phone. I'm sorry. And he said, see yourself as nothing but love. And I just thought that was so powerful for us, even in the work that we're doing here. Are these affirmations on the Facebook page? Yes, they are. They are in the Google pages, the PDFs for the last two calls. They're in there, and I'll make sure that they go in this one as well with the Q&As. Okay, I'm going to close out the chat so I don't get distracted. Okay, so we know how to create a report now. There was something about, somebody said in the chat as well that what she has done is created a report for just the defined centers. I'm going to read it here for people on the replay. I created a Your Influence Factor report, which is only the defined centers of the person. So like really and truly, you can start anywhere for your report, and you could have one report like that, and then you could use that content again in your next report if you're going to do a report with other stuff in it as well. So you can just keep pulling from your world. Who on this call has a content bank or would consider that you have content in places? We look like we're like, I pledge allegiance. Okay, and who does not have that, or who wishes that they had a system for doing that? That would be helpful. Yeah. So I love Trello. It's free. The free version actually, in my opinion, is better than the paid version. I got very confused on the paid version. And I also have like a bazillion Google documents everywhere in my world. But Trello can really keep you organized. So Lori's saying she has content in too many places. Okay, so one of the things that I would love to invite you to kind of play in this week is getting your content into one place, because it will make it easier when you get to go and create a report or something else. Somebody is saying Notion. Yeah, Notion is great as well. Any kind of a system. But you want to be able to go in and just grab. So what I do as a manifesting generator, so for generator types, it can be really handy for us to have something to start with. So I just keep, like, I have a board for inspiration. I actually have a blog post that's going live this week about this. So it's one board is just for inspiration. So it could be like blog articles that I find, or anything really, a podcast episode I listen to, anything that kind of sparks some inspiration in me or some sort of a response in me. And I pop that into one board in my Trello. I have all kinds of, I probably have 400 social media posts that I've started and haven't gone back to finish. Just because I use that time, like I'll go to Starbucks sometime to bridge my splits. That's the only coffee shop we have here in my little town. And I'll just start on that social media board. I'll just start on that Trello board and use that as something to respond to, so that I can keep responding again and again and again. But no matter what your type, it's really helpful to have all of your content all in one place. And I know that you know that. And I also know that it can be a constant struggle to be like, yeah, I'm so creative and I have stuff in every corner of my computer, and then I don't know how to gather it all. So that can be a really, really important step in your business and in your creation process for creating reports. Because how I sell my reports is that I say that they're going to get them within 7 days, because I create the incarnation crosses as I sell the reports. Because to have 192 incarnation crosses done before I could sell a report seemed a little bit daunting for me. I had everything else in there, but I really wanted to get selling without the incarnation crosses. So I do those kind of live in the moment. As soon as the report sells, I do the incarnation cross. Now, what I am tempted to do is just do the incarnation cross and forget about it. But what I make myself do is put it in my incarnation crosses Google Doc, so that then when I go to create the next thing that has to do with an incarnation cross, all of my incarnation crosses are in the same place. And that seems like really basic information, but tell me if you have ever struggled with your stuff being in 1,000 places on your computer. Like, holy hell, my computer, there I swore again. My computer is like, it's crazy. It's crazy what happens in this laptop. Like, once in a while, my VA and I have an in-person meeting, and she looks at my laptop and she's like, oh my God, I can't even with this thing right now. Like, I'm sure if Sylvana saw my laptop, she would probably want to drive over it. Yeah. So you have to do what works for you. But for those of you who also struggle with, like, I have all of this content ahead of me, just take a deep breath and organize a little bit of it this week if you possibly can. Amanda, thank you for the reminder as well, Amanda, about the affirmations.
Okay. What is are you saying cello? How do you spell this?
Oh.
I don't.
Trello, and I'll put it in the.
Oh, Trello, Trello.
Yeah. And someone is
Okay.
saying about Notion. I know that Notion is really good for that as well.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome. I love that, Lisa, that you tend to attract many of the same incarnation crosses. So what is the incarnation cross that you attract the most? I would love to know, because I have a thing about this. Same. So that I keep going to, and I can't find maybe somebody on the call knows this, but I keep trying to find out how common is the cross of the vessel of love, because I am surrounded by it in my life. Like, all of the big relationships in my life, not all of them, many of the big relationships in my life have the incarnation cross, the vessel of love. My husband, and it's like, I know that I need that. I need to be like, so anyway, I have many, My son has that. Okay, so that's just curious to me. Is there an integration point with Trello and Bodygraph chart? Well, maybe I opened up a can of worms. So that's like, good God, woman. She's saying no. Many of your people are also 3.5 MGs. 3.5s are my favorite people, as you guys know. Okay. All right. So what's next? What other questions do you have around content or around marketing? And if there's nothing around content, we'll jump into some marketing stuff. Marisa is asking, can we integrate only the conscious sun in a Bodygraph report?
Of course, and we have for this planet, and yeah, then you have to create the 64 pages or gates for this, of course, if you want to do this. But we will work on a smart solution that makes it easier, but for later. Of course, but it's possible, yes, but it's a lot of work to do this.
Okay, so let's talk about a little bit of marketing stuff for your report. So, does anyone have a report that you're thinking you could tie in with Mother's Day at all? Because that's kind of the next thing that we have coming up. Annetta is saying yes. And it doesn't have to be about parenting or mothering, right? Because I mean, not everybody, but a lot of people want to learn about themselves. So it could make, if it fits with your brand, it could make a really good tie-in for Mother's Day to start. I'm going to use words that maybe don't resonate with you, but just like translate them into your own language to start like pushing for selling your reports. So what you're going to want to do is something I learned a long time ago was for social media, consider your stories. I got to just change this, you guys. I'm sorry. I'm seeing a lot of not faces. So I'm just going to change the view for a second so I can look at something. Okay. So your stories are the hustle and your feed is the heart. So that's why I'm always like banging on about getting into your stories and bringing people with you on the journey. So have you been showing people what you're doing, what you're working on, what you're creating? Have you been talking about your human design business in your stories? You can pop it in the chat or you can nod your head. No. Stacy, my goodness. You guys are a quiet group today. Usually the chat is like on fire. Neither. Okay. Okay. So there's so much going on. Yeah, there's always a lot. But that's the thing. When there's so much going on, that's the best time to be bringing people with you, right? So it's like actually taking a pause and going, okay, how can I share this through the lens of my business? So even something in our lives can be shared through the lens of our businesses. And you want to start to bring people along on the journey. Like I love for us, you don't need to have like 50,000 followers on your Instagram or your Facebook in order to have a really solid way to get leads for your business. I always think that you want somebody coming to your account and thinking, oh my God, how does she not have 1 million followers? How is not everybody in his world already? Because look at all of the gold that's here. Like you really want to be loving on the people that are already there with you and with an eye for growth. Now I'm like not the girl for the reels and all of that stuff. I try, but it's like, oh my God, it takes me so long to do it. But you want to be bringing people on your journey as you're marketing this report. So let them know that you are working on it. Let them know what they're working on. Who is your ideal client? Does somebody want to pop off and talk to me about who their ideal client is? Oh,
My ideal client is someone who is already familiar with different tools out there for discovering self and understanding self. Human design, gene keys, I Ching, astrology. They already have an awareness of it. And I'm offering additional insights and guidance to the areas where they feel called or they feel the most struggle or the most interest.
And how are you marketing that or talking about it now?
My business partner and I are we attend events that we enjoy. Our relationship chart shows that we're a number 8 to create some fun.
Yeah.
And she's a projector and I'm a projector. And the synergy energy between us is palpable. So we sit down frequently and talk about the areas in our chart where we synergize, where we amplify each other. And we're very mindful of that. As far as how we talk about what we do, right now we're brand new into the journey. And it's mostly just showing up to events that interest us and participating in the audience and waiting for someone to get curious and ask us questions that lead into a conversation in that direction. As far as media marketing, neither of us have a clue. I'm looking more at the question of how am I better to align with my human design so that I can do the marketing? What does that look like for me?
What's your profile, Chris?
I'm a splenic orchestrator, 2-4.
Okay. And do you know her profile?
She's a splenic projector, 6-2.
Okay. So one of the things that I think is underused in the human design space for us as practitioners, a lot of the practitioners that I work with anyway, is the profile, because your profile is who you're here to be. It's the role that you play in the movie of your life, as you know. I'm not telling you anything you don't know here, but sometimes we forget about that in our businesses. So you as a 2-4, like there's a certain magic in what's alive for you right now. And you have this natural genius and this natural gift that you don't even see that you have. And you have those things as projector as well, right? So they need to be called out of you. So one of the things that I would ask is, are you paying attention to what people are calling out of you? Are you paying attention to what people are recognizing as that second line? Because that's often a clue as to what they want more from you in your business. And then the fourth line, like there's going to be a community. I love that you're doing these in-person events, because there's going to be some sort of a community factor there for you as well, right? But I think that sometimes we can get, I mean, I know we've talked a lot about niche here, and I'd like to like throw that window, or niche. I'd like to throw that right out the window sometimes, especially as a second line myself, because really and truly, people are following along for what you're doing. So when you were talking about the relationship map that you see between the two of you, I would be curious how you can turn that to your to the front face of your business. How can you talk about that? Like if you're going to be talking about on social media, how can you talk about how this relationship dynamic plays out and lead by example, but turn it around so that other people get something out of it? So yes, I'm telling you a story, and yes, it's about my business and my relationship with my business partner. And here's how you're going to use that in your life. That can be a really good angle to start talking about it. And then like, because your report is a map, you could have a place on the map where it's like, if this is you, you're going to want to start here. Because they're looking to you to guide them as a projector, right? So you can tell them where they should be. Should, again, that word. I will catch up on the chat here.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, anybody else live and in person as I catch up on the chat? Holy, there's a lot in here. Okay, Danielle, women solo entrepreneurs. So what do you, here, there you are. What do you do with these women solo entrepreneurs? Oh, I can't hear you. Can anybody else hear? Aw, darn. Okay, we'll come back. Oh my God, Netta. Yes. So Netta is saying, I have the content for a Magic Mama report with a section that includes how to parent for your energy type. Children will be separate reports. I saw you a minute ago. Where are you? I don't see you now. But this, oh, there you are. Okay. So are you going to be promoting that for Mother's Day?
Well, Mother's Day in the UK is actually in March. So I've missed that boat, but
Oh,
that's
sorry.
not to say you couldn't promote it anyway, because you could make a story of how the UK is just different than the rest of the world, which is true in so many other areas too.
Okay. And are your clients mostly in the UK?
Mostly. And yeah, I predominantly have working moms as my client base, like mom entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And I even like, I read that right away and I'm like, oh my God, I have to get that for my daughters.
Oh my God. Well, see, I'm a Mani-Gen as well. So one of the things I've taken away is what you said about the incarnation crosses. And I just had a discovery call right before this. And I'm going to send her some follow-up with like potential next steps. And I'm just going to say, look, you're brand new in my world. Be my guinea pig for your particular report. And then that's going to give me the motivation to do that report. And I just need to find other people to be those guinea pigs. And I'm going to get this shit done.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. And remember when you're looking for guinea pigs, that you don't always have to do free guinea pigs, right? It can be intro pricing. Absolutely, it can be intro pricing. Yeah, I'll maybe continue on that in a minute. We'll get through these first. Oh, Amy, my ideal client is different from what the universe thinks it is. Say more.
I want to help people do what I did, which is figure out who I am and like accept it. But I want that in like, I want other corporate, like normal people. Like, I want to help other people get out of that, like a corporate awakening.
Okay, and what is the universe bringing you?
People in relationships and with kids, and I am literally 50, single, and childless. So it's very weird. But that
I'm here, Amy. I'll collaborate with you.
Okay. That's who I mean, I love it, and it turns out I have an aptitude, but it's not like I feel disingenuous since I am none of those things. So it's weird.
This came up so I have a course that's running right now on content, and this came up actually. I'm not calling her out, but if she wants to say anything, because same, and she had like so much of her own chart is fourth line energy. Who are your nodes? Who are the lines of your nodes on your conscious side?
I can't remember. Oh
Okay.
my God.
I'm just curious what they are. Stacy's going to talk.
Wide open crown, and I have like 75 cheat sheets. I'm making a bundle of them because like my empty brain has to help.
Go ahead, Stacy. Oh, sorry.
She's
looking it up. You go ahead.
Yeah, I just had a 180 thanks to that question, who's my client, and I realized, because what Vicky had asked, she really made us question who is actually buying our services, right? So I have been operating under the presumption that I was selling human design for the same reason I wanted it, which was for my own alignment and authenticity as a human being on this planet. And that's what I was selling. But the first people who bought were not coming to me for that at all. Every single person came because they were trying to heal or repair or figure out a relationship they were in. A mother and her teenage daughter, middle-aged woman and her mother, a businesswoman and all of her partnerships that, she was just choosing the wrong partners. And so it was just a really interesting thing. So I've completely pivoted who I'm targeting now. And it's all about relationships. and anyway, so it's been a really big shift for me, and I'm still absorbing and integrating it. But what happened was, and I think the reason Vicky wanted me to share was, I was concerned about my credibility, because I'm 58, I've never been married, I've never had kids, and that's worked out great for me. Like, that's really the life that I have chosen. And I said to one of my clients over the weekend that I met, because I wanted to test this idea, what do you think about me focusing on relationships? And this was one of the people who had come to me. And I had said, but I don't think I have credibility, right? Like, I mean, you're telling me, because she was telling me, you need to be focusing on relationships. I'm like, I've never been married, I've never had kids, da, da, da. She said, that's exactly why you have credibility, because you're not bringing your own stuff to it. So I just want to encourage you to think about your lens in terms of, maybe it's actually an advantage. It's just, we're so stuck in our own world in the way that we've seen ourselves, or maybe there's someone who can reflect back to you what it is that gives you that credibility. So Vicky, I don't know if that, like, anyway,
perfect.
if there's any more I can share. Yeah.
Okay, so that's hilarious, because I'm now looking at my chart, and as you say that, so first of all, my nodes are, my north node is 11-2 and 10-11, and then 12-2 and 15-1. But I'm looking at my chart and I'm like, oh, what if I look at my own design in this this new direction? Like, it makes perfect sense.
Always start there.
I'm a cross of Eden, so
always start with your own design. That's what we got to do, right? And we get so attached to, I'm not picking on you when I say this, because I have friends that every time we talk, they're like, oh my God, my open had this. Oh my God, and I'm like, oh my God, that's not who you are. Who you are is your definition, right? So we got to start with who we are for all of it.
yeah.
And your corporate people, the normal people that you want, they have kids and they have relationships and they have,
Yeah, you're right.
so yeah. Very
Well,
cool.
I think I'm gonna go have a transformation or something soon.
Adele?
Yeah, I think it's also I've started my business in 2018, and it's been a coaching business, and I'm now integrating the human design. But I've definitely always resisted niching down. I've just been like, no. And when I look at my design, it makes complete sense. And I also just know that the things that I can see and what I can guide for people is not necessarily the stuff I have to do. And I'm totally okay with that. So I know what my design is, and I know what works for me, but I also know, and I trust in what I see for other people. So I think sometimes the old school marketing ideals, I don't necessarily think I don't think we have to follow them by the book. I think you got to find what's right for you. Like, I have never done marketing. I'm not, that's why I'm so excited about having this report and stuff. And so a lot of the people that I will be bringing human design to them. And so for me, it's like, as a projector, I've really, I now recognize what an invitation looks like. And they do just come from nowhere. Like, it's quite bonkers. So I allow myself to just get ready with the stuff that I need to, and I know that the things will arrive. So I think with the projectors, I know sometimes there's been this whole thing of like, oh, well, do I just sit around and wait? And you kind of do. I do have internal invitations. Like, I have that sense of like being drawn to something. But I think it's taken a bit of time to really identify with that.
That's beautiful. Beautiful. And it's about recognizing yourself as well, right? Like, standing in your gifts and understanding. Yeah. And I think lots of times I have to ask myself, what in my life or what in my business requires a little more trust from me? Like, where could I be a little more trusting in my business? Because we get so caught up in this, we got to do, but human design is like the ultimate invitation to be like, okay, here I am. And what do I do from this place of who I am? So yeah, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
And I think that's something, because that's what I've included in my report is pretty much the centers, and specifically in the open centers where they most likely are going to be struggling. So I, got a reading. I think I think everybody has Carrie Parker, right? Everybody's done their certification with.
Not
So
everybody.
I actually majority. So I did my certification with Chetan Parkin. So slightly different, but they've all got their own little process. But there's reading formulas, but I've been finding my own formula. And so especially when you look at someone for the very first time, like we sometimes forget what we know. And when you're delivering it to someone for the very first time, actually just going through the centers for them is enough for them to understand. Like, this is what you've got to work with, and this is what you potentially, like a friend of mine who is a manifester, and she's got undefined root, undefined sacral, doesn't know when enough is enough, and is constantly feeling pressured. So, and she's also got an open spleen. And yeah, so there's a couple of things there immediately. Like, so she's in toxic situations, and I was just like, right, those are the things you need to focus on first, because until you can stop living in that conditioned space, it's not going to matter. You're not identifying what's actually yours. So she's not actually sitting in this like manifesting energy, because there's lots of fear and all sorts of stuff going on. So I think if you can start with the really simple stuff, because we're wanting to create these miraculous things, sometimes just a really, there's quite a lot that someone can get from just their energy centers.
Yeah. And we think just your energy centers. And when they come in, they go, oh my God. Oh my God, you see me, you know me. It's like you've been with me since birth. So that is a really good point, Adele, about your report. Like, think about how that's the bridge thing again, right? Like, how does this get them to the next step? It's probably less than you think. So you probably don't have to break down it depends on who your client is. And we've talked about this in these calls too. Who is your customer? Like Adele says, if she's bringing human design to her community, then she's the first one, she's leading the way. Well, that's very different than if, someone is already in human design world and you're working with them. But look at that, really look at who your customer is. So thank you for that, Adele. Tech, Sylvana, can you answer a question for Evelyn is on the call? I'm just going back through the chat. Evelyn is on the call with a tech question, and then Kim, I'll get to your question. Okay. I'm trying to go through in order here. So Evelyn, if you want to unmute, oh, there we go.
Sure. Yes. Yeah. I actually have several questions.
Sure.
Do you want to put me in a chat room with Sylvana so I don't interrupt the marketing conversation?
No, it's okay. We're like, this call is like everywhere, and the next week is full on marketing. It'll help someone else.
All right. Okay. So here are my questions. Will the reports ever be able to automatically paginate depending on the length of the content that's in there? Because right now, if the content is too long and I have the next thing set up, it overlaps, it doesn't push it down. Does that make sense?
You mean the shortcuts or?
Yes, for shortcuts.
Yeah, if you, okay. If you use shortcuts, please just for little small reports. For long reports with much content, please use page visibility. That means for every type, create a own page or more than one page if you want, of course.
Right.
And that's the solution.
Okay, so the answer is no for the short codes. Is that right?
Makes no sense for us.
Okay, got it. When will Karen's quantum human design language have the formatting in the new report editor? Because it lost all its formatting.
I guess, did you know that?
No. So this is first time I hear, so I will need to check that report.
Thank you. You will let you know.
Okay. How can I change the link words that are embedded in the chart? So like on at the top of the chart, it says download your chart. If I want to say download your chart and personalized report, how can I change that text?
In my content, in your language.
We'll have to get to, because I've looked and I've looked and I've tried and I've tried and I have not succeeded. Now I'm using Karen's language.
Yeah.
I'm using Karen's. Go ahead.
It's okay. You can't change Karen's language. It is what it is.
Even just to say, download your report. I mean, that's language I want to change.
Yes, I will correct this one. You can change for Karen's report widgets, which means you can change button. And if you write us to support, either we live chat or email, we will guide you how you can do this. Okay.
Okay, did I understand correctly? You just want me to ask in the Facebook group?
No, we have on website, when you inside Bodygraph chart, you will see live chat icon at the bottom. So you can click on that icon and chat will pop up, and you can write to us and we will respond you with how you can do this.
I'm sorry,
Okay.
I'm not understanding. It's the My Chart
just-
icon where?
Yeah, when you're signed into the Bodygraph chart website, at the bottom right, there's a little button that says live chat,
Oh.
and it'll go right
Oh.
through to them, and then they'll have it automatically on their list to tackle next.
Got it. Okay,
Yeah.
great. I will do that. Thank you. One other question. Do I need to acknowledge that I'm using Karen's language and somehow acknowledge her in the report and on the screen that it's the quantum human design language?
Maybe.
Sorry, Sylvana, I didn't hear what you said.
Okay. Okay. So basically, no. We already. I think when you using report, there are already copyright inside the report, so you don't need to do any acknowledges or how I can spell it. So no. Answer would be no.
We don't need anything. Okay, good. I will ask the rest of my questions in the live chat. Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank
Evelyn.
you.
Okay, Kim, you want to play with me?
I think so.
Okay, so can you share any advice for 5/1 splenic manifestor? I think you're talking about what Chris and I were talking about. I tend to give things away, which is in my chart, to inspire and create a win-win. So I'm going to bump up against you on this and tell you that the biggest win that people are going to get for you is when they pay you money, because people value what they pay for. And yes, we can give away free all day long on our socials and all of those places. There's tons of stuff we can do for free. But we all know that the real value is when people get in a room, or when there's some exchange, right? They value it more than if you're just like throwing information on them. 5/1, again, this is my interpretation. You guys are all human design here, so you may have things to offer Kim as well. But a 5/1, like, you're a visionary leader. Fifth line profiles, like square peg trying to fit into a round hole. So how does that show up in your life? Also, I see fifth line profiles as people who call people on their shit. And I'm swearing again, I'm sorry. But I see people like you say it like it is. And so many fifth line profiles that I work with are so afraid to say it like it is. And manifestors are so afraid to say it like it is, especially because we've been so conditioned. And I don't know the conditioning of men because I've never been a man. So if you're a man and you're here, maybe this has been your conditioning as well. But as women and as little girls, it is sit down and shut up, sit still and look pretty. And you have nothing of value to say. And I mean, that's changing. And I'm not saying that's been everyone's experience, but certainly I think every single person on this call could say that there's been a time, oh my God, my computer's going to die, that there's been a time where they have felt this, oh, sorry, you guys. It just never, I just always keep it interesting, don't I, with all of this stuff. So I'm sure,
Manny,
yeah, I can't get it
Manny
plugged in.
Jen.
Manny Jen. So yeah, I think that that's really important as a manifestor as well. It's like, how comfortable can I get standing in my power? And how comfortable can I get actually initiating things? And I mean, there's a lot of informing in your chart. There's informing, I'm not even seeing your chart, I'm just seeing these pieces, but there's informing in being a manifestor. There's like the research and the information in the 1-line profile. And there's the 5th line, like calling the shit and telling people like it is. And I'm betting that's right when the news comes up around your neck. Yeah. So that
Yes,
thing that's
like-
on the other side of that, that is the gold. That is what's going to draw your person to you.
Okay.
Sorry, I cut
Thank
you off. Go ahead.
No, you adequately, you just described it. It's exactly there. Like when you say that, like I almost want to cry.
Yeah. Well, cry. Let yourself cry. Cry, rage, get it out of your body. It's the witch wound, right? So let it come, let it come. And then what's on the other side of that you need to tell your person?
Thank you.
You're welcome. Sending in love from over here.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to keep going through the chat, but if anyone's live and you want to talk about something, please unmute. Somebody says you're a manifestor. Why wouldn't people pay you? Yes. Amen. Danielle, did you get your sound working? No, I can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now I can.
Okay, sorry. It might be echoey because I'm taking off the headphones. Okay, so my niche are women solo entrepreneurs. So they don't have a team, but they might be right at the level of business where they're thinking about getting a team and they're struggling with the identity shift. And so what they are challenged with is they have to have leadership of themselves before they can lead a team. I help them to make that transition. I use human design to get that self-leadership skills. So that's my niche.
Okay. And what's your question?
Well, you had just asked if we knew our niche and I had replied.
Oh, okay. Okay. So do you want some feedback?
I'd love any feedback anyone has to offer.
Okay. So, and you may already have thought of this, but I think that sometimes where we kind of get stuck in business is that we think that I'm going to use she, yeah, because you said it's women entrepreneurs, right? So we think that she knows that she needs self-leadership.
Mm-hmm.
But what is the symptom of that in her business? How does that
She's disorganized. She's scattered.
And then what is the symptom of that?
She's burning out because she's always going and her efforts are inefficient. She's not getting the money in for that.
Okay. And then what is the result of that? What's the symptom of that?
Well, so I mean, if we go to the extreme, they're thinking about burning it all down, right? And in some ways they almost subconsciously do. So that's kind of the extreme. More closer is that they just are always feeling their business has become a drain, like an anchor to them, and not what for us as generators would light us up or what inspires us and moves us forward. They sort of lose the love and they feel really burdened. It's almost like it's a system where they're like, oh, okay, I can't get myself together. I need a team, but I can't bring on a team because I'm not organized. So I keep doing it myself and now I'm burned out and I really need help, but I can't get help, but it's a cycle.
And what's your report that you have for her?
My report, so the free report just is an introduction to human design, but I am for the most part selling a audio breakdown where they submit what their problem is with their business, something they're struggling with, and I tell them in the chart where the solution is and I explain it to them and guide them to their next steps. And then that leads to the coaching.
Okay. And does that lead to coaching?
Yeah, it leads to one-to-one coaching. Yeah.
I mean, what I mean is, are they actually buying the one-on-one coaching after that? Or do they think that they have enough to solve their problem?
So what's interesting is I have not had the human design element in my coaching business before. I'm adding that as sort of a on-ramp to the coaching. So I haven't sold that connection yet.
Okay. So my feedback is that we have to be very careful. This is for all of us. We have to be very careful in these free things that we do, that we are not letting them the languaging, but we're not allowing people to think that they have enough information to solve the problem themselves, because that's going to be the tendency, especially it sounds like you're working with pretty badass women who really already are solving it all for themselves and burning their lives down, but not realizing they're burning their lives down. So it's like, if you give her this much in this audio report, does that make her think that okay, I've got enough, I can solve this problem myself? Or does it actually propel her into coaching? So it's like that, you got to make sure that bridge is in there to propel her to need you for more, or to need something more, right? Rather than just feeling like she has one more thing she has to handle in her world. And for all of us, we want to be like continuing those questions that I was asking Danielle. Okay, what does that mean? And what does that mean? And what does that mean? And what's the symptom of that? And what's the symptom of that? Because we tend to think, I'm trying to think of one that came up on our call yesterday. It's gone for me, but it's like we can think like she needs self-leadership before she gets a team, but that's not what she thinks. What she thinks is, holy shit, there I go again. Holy crap. Like, here I am, you know, grabbing McDonald's for my kids again, and staying up till midnight doing laundry and getting up at 5 a.m. to try to work out, and burning my whole life down in the back. Like, these are the things that she's actually struggling with. Not, oh my gosh, if only I had some self-leadership, I'd be fine. So like, we really want to hit the symptom of what people are like. What does that mean? What does that mean? What does that mean? Just keep digging and digging and digging and digging. Hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so I realize that we are kind of coming up to time here. Oh gosh, it's 11:01. How did that happen? But I will go through the chat afterwards and include the PDF as well for all of these questions and answers. We'll make sure that we get a lot of these answered in that. I'm just checking really quickly to see if there's anything that I can answer quickly here. All the 5-1s are saying yes. Yeah, you need a 5-1 trauma support group. You do need a 5-1, a 5th line profile support group too. And actually throw everybody in there with a defined will and a manifester, because the whole world thinks that they don't have conditioning, it seems, but we know that they have a whole bunch, as Sawyer would say, a whole bunch. Okay, Lara has put the link for the Facebook group in there. If you're not in there, you probably will want to get in there. Ah, we made it to the end of the chat. So I will go through and answer the rest of those questions. Anyone on live that wants to ask something else or have, I think Silvana and Algus are still here. If you have something tech that you want to talk about or content, Stacy, you're nodding. Does that mean? Okay. So on Thursday, we will be going deep into the marketing. Like, actually, what are you going to do with this thing now? So we'll talk about social media, we'll talk about email, we'll talk about blogs, we can talk about Pinterest, we can talk about any of the channels, podcasting, any of the channels where you want to get talking about your report. It doesn't mean that you have to have it done by Thursday, okay? So take the pressure off if you're feeling a lot of pressure around, oh my God, I got to get this done. That's not the case. You know, you have your own time to work in for getting it done, but we will be talking about how to actually get it sold. And then maybe we should do like some sort of a celebration in May for celebrating how many, not how many reports we're selling, but like celebrating when you sell one, because that's super fun too. Sometimes when you're a solopreneur, it's like, you know, you're standing there talking to your cat or something about what you sold, and or you talk to your spouse. Like my husband has no clue as to what I try to talk to him, but it's like, So yeah, we'll celebrate together when we're selling our reports. Okay. All right. Thank you for being here. I will get this recording uploaded later today and we'll get it sent out to you. And then I'll do the PDF as well today or tomorrow. Okay. Well, thanks for being here, everybody.